What's up, everybody? What's up, Fully Corked Nation? Welcome back to another week. Thank you for joining us. I am John, and as always, I am joined by my co-host, Charlie.
Hey, everybody.
And we've got an exciting wine for you today. This is something new. It's something a little bit off the grid. It's an orange wine. Charlie, you want to give us a little bit of the background on this?
Yeah, so we picked this again. It's the puppet coming from Trader Joe's, as we are known to do. I'll hold it up to the camera quick. It's got, again, I think you guys will see a trend here. I have a type. It's pretty much just picking bottles where I like the artwork on the front, and the artwork here is pretty funny. So yeah, excited to try it. I, truth be told, have not had much orange wine, if any at all. So this could be a first, and I'll take a stab at a couple flavors, and maybe we'll learn something today.
Well, Charlie, we definitely are going to learn something because we are debuting a new segment called Wine Fact of the Week. We both had to look up some facts about orange wine because, quite frankly, it's kind of bursting onto the scene. It's like pretty much what rosé was in the last decade. Now we have orange wine. So what the hell is this?
I'm going to hold it up to the camera real quick, which is off camera for you, John. But the color is very intriguing, and it reminds me of a color of another drink that we'll tackle later on in the pod, and that I am dubious of, the Aperol Spritz.
Yeah, it's kind of got like an amber glow.
Yeah.
So, segment 1, wine fact of the week. People who are orange wine snobs will sniff this and taste it, and they are actually going to tell you that they taste bruised apple and wood varnish. So I'm excited to see if that is at all what I get on my palate. Quite honestly, I don't know why you'd be seeking that out. Bruised apple is actively avoided by me in all supermarkets.
I had an apple earlier today, and I didn't inspect it closely enough and just took a big rip of it because I was starving, and it was like mostly bruise, and it was terrible. It was not a good experience. Like, these are apples that every other apple from this like pound bag I bought went immediately into the garbage after I finished this apple.
Oh, so you finished it though?
I did finish the apple. Again, I was starving. I needed it. But yeah, so hopefully it's not too strong on the bruised apple.
Yeah, maybe it'll be a little wood varnish forward, which might actually be
somehow the wood varnish is better.
And then so I mean that's kind of a fact, but then here's the real fact. How is it made?
Mm-hmm.
And it is created by leaving contact with the grape skins on white wine for like an elongated period of time. So like the way that red wine gets its color is because it has extended contact with like the red grape skin.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas white wine, you kind of just like do away with the skin right away. So I guess this orange wine is somewhat of a hybrid where we're still using the white grape skin, but we're actually leaving it on the wine for.
This bottle was fermented with the skins for 12 days. I thought I read online in my very limited research that can be up to 30 days. So we'll see what 12 does. I mean, it's certainly got the color. Do we have any other orange wine facts, or are we ready for the sip?
We got jack shit.
Okay. All right. We'll learn as we go.
I'm expecting a little bit of tannic wine. I mean, leaving the skin on means it should have that lingering finish in the palate.
And one question for you too. So is this would be white wine grapes only, right? Like, it's the skin of a white wine grape, not a red.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know. So it's closer to home for me as a white wine connoisseur.
I was gonna say this is right up your alley, and it's orange, which
It's my
I'm
hair
sure
color.
you appreciate. Yeah.
yeah, it's great to see.
All right, Charlie. Cheers.
I like it.
Yeah, it's not bad. I definitely taste the tannins. Like, didn't that have a little bit of a lingering finish on the palate?
I'll have to consider that on the second sip. To me, it wasn't super bold in its fruitiness, but absolutely had the fruitiness. I would say, like, I guess I'm not sure what fruit. Maybe like, it's been literally years since I've had this fruit, so my understanding of its flavor profile could be off, but maybe like an apricot. Something light like that.
I was about to say apricot.
Really?
I'm not kidding. That was going to be the one fruit that I
And maybe
ventured.
it's just because it's kind of the same color. I don't know, but we'll see as
Maybe
we
maybe
continue
that's the
along.
secret sauce to describing wines is you just kind of pair the color of the wine with the fruit that's coming out.
Yeah,
So maybe this has a little bit of orange in it. Maybe it has a little bit of melon,
melon,
right?
honeydew, or
Well, what's the orange melon? Is that just melon?
no. It has
Musk
it's
melon?
cantaloupe.
Cantaloupe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get a little bit of apricot and a little bit of cantaloupe in here, but it's tannic. It's got that lingering finish. Maybe a little bit of wood varnish on the palate.
So not to go, this is closer to wine speculation than a wine fact, but on the tannin front, I was talking to somebody about this, trying to enhance my own understanding of tannins. And she was telling me that tannins almost strictly relate to the dryness of wine. So like if it has a lot of tannins, it's a drier wine. So I'm not sure how it affects like the linger or what contributes to the linger. I imagine do drier wines linger longer?
I think it's because your mouth needs to, like, start creating, like, some form of precipitation. Like, my mouth is, like, kinda watering right now after finishing that.
You finished yours?
N Well, I haven't finished it. Am I finishing my sip?
Oh, okay. Well, I'll finish mine.
I might just crack out another side sip. We
Yeah.
got one with a white wine.
Yeah, get the honestly, through the camera video, that looks incredible. I mean, I'm on, the Wikipedia right now, also called amber wine, so that was a good call. Skin fermented white wine, skin contact white wine, all other names for orange wine. I'm trying to figure out when this became more popularized, or maybe we've just been, like, living under a rock, but I don't think I ever even saw an orange wine until the last 3 years, and I'm certain it didn't get invented in 2021. I mean, have you encountered this much?
I've seen it once or twice.
Well, in your studies.
I don't actively seek this one out, but, it's nice. It's kinda like a rosé. It's maybe like a dry rosé, so if you do enjoy the sweetness of a rosé, but you kinda are like, "Damn, I wish it was a little drier, had a little bit more tannins on the palate, had that lingering finish that makes your mouth sweat," I'd give orange wine a go.
So I'm too scared to attempt this. Do you want to tell the listeners what this blend is? It's on the back label, the blend of wines that are in it.
Oh, boy.
Not to put you on the spot. We can cut it if this goes all wrong. And while John thinks about how he may say these words, one other thing on the puppet. So it's 2023, Central Coast of California, $8 at Trader Joe's. So it's kind of another bang for buck bottle. We'll get to the bottom of whether it's worth the $8, but I guess initial returns for me say, this is pretty drinkable, particularly with summer around the corner. I feel like you couldn't you couldn't catch somebody drinking orange wine in the winter, right? It's just
No. Charlie, I'm gonna deem this the sunset wine.
I like that.
Nice little orange tint to it. Maybe the sunrise wine,
Ooh,
depending
ooh,
on when you consume your orange wine.
sunset wine when you're at home, and then sunrise wine when you're on vacation.
Yeah.
Your 6 a.m. glass on the Amalfi Coast is a nice orange wine.
You gotta keep that BAC hovering around zero point zero 0.04 to zero point zero 0.06 on
I
vacation
was
at
gonna
all
say you got to
times.
keep it hovering above zero on vacation at all times.
All right, Charlie, we can move on from the wine after this, but here we go. So this is the puppet. 44.5% Grenache Blanc,
Mm,
25% Pinot Gris,
mm.
14% Grenache Grise, 9.5% Orange Muscat, and 7% Chenin Blanc.
That was great. I think I would have choked at least 4 of those. So good job. You did better than I ever could. So yeah, let's move on. We'll briefly do a little recap, and then we'll move into segments here. To start, I have very limited recap here, but as promised, did want to give the update on the buddy who ran 16 miles with me last Saturday. Again, this was kind of like a roll out of bed. He hasn't been training for this marathon. Throw on the shoes, maybe eat a banana, and go pound pavement for 16 miles. So he's a fighter, he's a warrior. So he had that going for him, and it paid off. I mean, shockingly, I wish there was a better story here, but kept pace for 16 miles, got it done. We brought no goo and we had no water for the run, which we've like come to find is maybe not smart when you're running for more than 2
What
hours.
is goo?
So it's like if you're distance running, people will have these goo packets that they eat that are like full of I don't even know what, like probably like carbs, things like that. Sugar, I'm sure it's like a shitload of sugar too, just to keep you moving. But we didn't have that. We're both cramping out of our mind, miles 15 and 16, but we got it done. I think, I mean, it's just shocking. It's he's now signing up for the marathon, and he's told me that his plan is to do very limited training, and no matter what, he just shows up and gets it done. And if you roll out of bed and run 16, who am I to say you can't do the same for 26? So I think maybe where he was hurting more than maybe I was, like he was totally good through 16 miles, honestly. Like he was doing just as good as me, but I think the recovery is where, I've acclimated my body maybe a little bit more to that. And I think he was feeling a little beat up, but we're rooting for a speedy recovery for him, and we'll see him again tomorrow for 12. So
Question for you, Charlie. If you can run 16 miles, do you feel like you can finish off the marathon? Like, can you get that last 10, or do you think you have to run an even further amount to really feel like, hey, I got this?
So the training I'm following peaks at a 20-mile run, and so I never go to a marathon length before the marathon. So the last 6 are kind of just like grit miles, I guess. Like you don't prep for them. But I think, you know, it's encouraging every week that you get closer. So I'm confident it'll be a finish. The question is really, is it going to be a finish I can be proud of, or are we going to venture into like some murky pace areas? And so we'll see. We'll see. I mean, if I cramp up, that's going to be a problem. But I'm looking into goos. I'm looking into orange wine supplements, different ways that I can propel myself out there. So
That's great. And I think something that maybe we should let the fans in on when it gets closer to race day, we got to know your race fit. We got to know like what you're thinking about wearing, why, how you're going to look. And maybe it's just me. I would love to see a wine review at mile 26.
yeah, no, that's absolutely that's bouncing around in my head. I think it's not crazy to share with the listeners what marathon this is. It's Grandma's Marathon in Duluth, Minnesota. If you want to come out, see me at the finish line, soaked in sweat, probably covered in wine spray too. I mean, we are going to be popping bottles at the finish line. So come show some support. We'll do a meet and greet. I don't bite, so would love any support there. I'll certainly need it. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a fight, but it'll be a good one.
Well, with that note, I will share a little bit about my last week. Like Charlie, pretty uneventful. The one thing I did do that was kind of exciting for me is I golfed 18 holes on Sunday.
Oh yeah,
I did not play well. I'll put it out there. I'm not that good of a golfer, but I love to get out there and swing them. And so, in light of not playing very well, I was kind of trying to think, what are some of the more humiliating things that can happen to your casual golfer? And I've pretty much narrowed it down to my top 3. And Charlie, I'd be curious to know what you think here. But the first one of humiliating things that can happen to you as a golfer is being the dribbler. And what this means is you get up to the tee,
the dribbler.
you take a couple big cracks for practice swings, and then you get up there, and when the moment matters most, you just pee down your leg and you put a full swing into this ball and it just dribbles off the tee like maybe 10, 15 yards ahead of you.
Yeah,
It's happened to the best of them. I mean, this does happen. It sucks, especially if you're playing with your friends. It might really suck if you're playing as like the add-on, like foursome. You know how if there's a threesome, they'll just add you as a random,
oh
and you
yeah.
just it's usually the first tee. It always seems to work that way.
Where
Just terrible.
you're too juiced up, and you're like you pull your head a little bit more than you usually would, and
You're pulling everything on this.
I'm a far worse golfer than John, and that's routine for me. But keep going.
So that's number one. Second embarrassing moment in golf, or just embarrassing component to a round, the shank artist.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we've all been there. Like, And I'm talking specifically off the tee, because a lot of the most humiliating moments in golf come off the tee.
Oh yeah. All eyes on you.
All eyes on you, at least 4 people, sometimes in a shotgun start during like a work event or whatever you might be doing. That's 8 eyes on you, 2 groups of 4. It is the closest thing I've probably ever got to feeling like a professional athlete, is teeing off as a golfer. And unfortunately, like, I crumble under pressure.
Oh yeah.
And the shank artist, I mean, this can mean a lot of different things. It can mean heavy topspin, where you just launch one topspin rocket like 100 yards ahead. Or this could also mean like launching them left or right. And I've actually had this happen in a round. I've had to scream 4 off the tee to alert other groups, like, more than once.
Oh yeah.
I guess to give context to the listeners, this isn't because I'm bombing 300-yard drives. It's because I'm bombing like 100-yard shanks so far right or left that like I'm somehow up onto the next tee box, like
Dude,
head hunting.
that's actually, I relate to that so much because I don't really have any club that'll go straight, and especially off the tee box with the driver, I find myself in the fairway to the right more often than my fairway, and so this is like it's giving me a little PTSD. It's spooking me a little bit. I haven't swung a club this year. I might, I don't know. I might have to hang it up and just say I'm a runner now, but keep going.
Maybe we'll have to do like a fully corked golf tournament with all of our loyal followers.
Yeah.
That would be pretty
Yeah.
fun.
Then they can see we're just like everyone else. We suck. You're selling yourself short. You got some golf talent. I'm like I don't know. I never got lessons other than my dad, so I have all of his bad habits as well as all of mine, and it's a mess out there.
I grew up on a golf course, so I have no excuse for being as poor of a golfer as I am. We'll put it that way.
Mhm.
All right. Number 3, the third and final. I'm calling this the rocket launcher. So we've had 2 of the most embarrassing moments being off the tee. This third one is when you're like 5 to 15 yards away from the green and you're just far enough that you really shouldn't putt it, or you're in like slightly thicker rough and you pull out the wedge. I don't know about you, Charlie. The closer I get to the green, the more challenging it gets, and the like just the tighter room for error you get.
Oh yeah.
And so, I mean, we've all been there too, but call it I'm 5 yards out.
Yep.
I decide, okay, I'm going to chip it on. This will be
What
easy.
club are you using?
I'm using a wedge, or like a sand wedge.
What if I told you my lowest club other than my putter is a pitching wedge?
A little bit of extra horsepower than you might need for 10 yards away from the green.
It's
but
like it wouldn't help me. It wouldn't help me to have a club that would be better for hitting a flop shot, because I am just sculling that into the next reality. So, it's nice to have an excuse, I guess, but it's everything within outside of stock pitching wedge distance is so hard for me.
let me tell you about this. So this happened in my round, and I mean, I joke because like this happens every round, like all 3 of these cardinal sins of golf, like just humiliating myself round after round. But I can put it
You're a
together
glutton for
a
pain.
couple of holes, and this was sick. I bomb a drive. I'd love to tell you it was 300. It was probably 280, but like bomb a drive straight and then hit an unbelievable iron approach shot on a par 5. So all I have to do is chip onto the green and then try to get it close and putt. And I'm literally, this scenario, 5 yards away from the green. And I get the trusty lob wedge out.
Oh yeah.
I step up. I take about 3 practice swings until I get it perfect. And I'm feeling damn good, damn confident. And I step up on that ball and I just knocked it into oblivion. Like,
Yeah, blasted.
True sculled it rocket launcher. I lost my ball. I hit it so hard. I shot it into the rough and like lost.
Did you have steak and eggs before you went out there? Because that is a red meat maneuver, is blasting, like just slamming one when you only got to put it up 15 yards.
I don't remember what I ate. I don't think I had steak and eggs for breakfast, though. To recap, we have the dribbler, the shank artist, and the rocket launcher. And then I did just want to come in with an honorable mention. The only facet of the golf game I haven't mentioned yet is the putting. And this one actually might be the most humiliating of all, because it just welcomes extremely condescending comments from friends and family that you're playing with. and it's the weakling. It's the person that cannot, for the life of them, leave a putt long or get to the hole. Like,
Mhm.
you know what I mean, Charlie? Like,
Oh,
where you're
yeah.
constantly leaving your putt like damn short of your objective.
My dad says 2 things about that. He goes, so if he leaves a putt short, he has one of 2 reactions. One, he just says coward, calls himself a coward for leaving it short. The other is he'll turn to me or his buddy that he's golfing with, whatever, and say, "I'm having a crisis of confidence."
See, he gets it.
Yeah, oh,
He
he
gets it. I
totally
mean,
does.
that is a top cardinal sin.
One quick golf thing before we move on, unless you have some more things to say. I actually last summer John was back in town and I got an invite. Somebody dropped out of their golf foursome and it's with his girlfriend's dad, his girlfriend's brother, and him. And they're people I would describe as, golfers. And if you were to look at me and categorize me, you would say not a golfer. And so we get to the first hole, and I'm very nervous and I don't have my clubs and I'm wearing John's girlfriend's dad's golf clothes because I didn't bring any, which is like a classic. It's a textbook non-golfer move. Show up unprepared. And
You were not just clothes, like you were in his golf shoes.
oh
You had
yeah,
his glove on, like
yeah.
literally the whole 9 yards.
It's maybe the best I've looked on a golf course. It didn't really correlate to the play, but so I'm at the first tee, and as John said, all eyes on me. I'm leading us off, and taking my practice swings, go up, get ready to hit the first shot, miss the ball completely on a non-practice swing. And then when I actually do tee off, what was it? It was
Here, I can actually finish this one for you. So, Charlie, you actually had the funniest first hole I've ever seen. And sorry to expose you to all of our fans, but
you're good.
this was amazing. I'll just set the scene. So I hadn't necessarily talked up Charlie. I've only seen him hit a golf ball once, and it was when we were playing up at your cabin, and I wasn't in your foursome.
Mhm.
And all I hear is an eruption, like a roar on like the hole behind us, which is a par 3 that I can see. And then what I see is a ball landing like near the hole, and then you on the tee box like celebrating. And I'm
Yeah.
like, holy shit, like this guy can cook.
Hey, even the blind pig finds the occasional truffle.
So I hadn't necessarily been like talking you up to like my girlfriend's dad and brother, but like I was like, yeah, Charlie could play. Like I've seen him hit. and you get there and you like that your actual cardinal sin that you do on the golf course is
Pull ahead. Go ahead. What is it?
you spend a lot of time over the ball. Like you like to really take your sweet time, like analyzing the shot.
Yeah.
I don't know if it does you that much good. Like you're like
No.
calculating and whatever, but you spend a lot of time. So we were watching you just look at that damn thing,
Mhm.
and you're taking your practice swings and you're just looking, and then you just hammer a huge swing, completely miss.
Which was a practice swing.
True. The next swing, as happens to us golfers, it was a dribbler.
Yeah. Topped it hard. But also shank because it was out of bounds immediately.
Exactly. Out of bounds immediately, but we go, you know what? Breakfast ball, as one does on the first hole. Charlie, you take this ball, you put like such a nice swing on it. You pipe your drive like almost 300 yards dead ass straight, and you're literally like to the point of rocket launcher territory.
Yeah.
Which is, if you remember exactly what happened.
It was my best shot of the day. There was not a good shot after that, but I do just have to throw in there, it was very nice of the other 3 of the foursome to allow me breakfast ball, but just from a shame factor to right out of the gate, you're playing 18 and they go, "You know what? Take a mulligan right out of the gate." It's just like I appreciated it, but like it was hard on the ego. And you would think that would make me ratchet down my next swing, but I was just, just like probably half panic attack, just needed to smash something. So
it happens to me too. I was on a different golf trip. I shanked out of bounds, like lost the ball on my first 3 tee shots. And this was in the situation where there was 8 of us. It was like we were the first foursome to tee off, but I get up there and just start shanking right and left. Like maybe had some like nerves,
Oh yeah.
But again, it makes me, I mean, obviously I'm not going to be a professional athlete ever, but like it's just disappointing to know that you lack the
The
like
metal
clutch
when
gene, you
yeah.
know.
One other thing that comes to mind here, I was getting coached long ago. Like when I really like I never even like picked up a golf club until I was maybe like 20, something like that. And I'm at the Lafayette Club in like Minnetonka, Wayzata area.
Nice golf club in Minnesota.
Super nice. And we're at the driving range, we're not playing. And I'm just smashing balls straight right with the driver in in the driving range. And this friend's dad comes up to me and he goes, "Man, if you could straighten that thing out, it's going a country mile." But it's like it's never going straight. It's just not going to. So it's that's next. Maybe that's my project for next summer. Become a not even respectable golfer, but a golfer that you don't need to pity out there would be good.
I have one buddy that he's scratch, meaning his handicap is 0. So he's very
Oh
good. He
yeah,
played in college at Santa Clara, like just nasty golfer. And he is moving from San Francisco to New York. And I was like, dude, you have to leave me with a parting gift. I need like 1 or 2 drills to do at the driving range. And he
yeah.
goes, yeah, I'll give that to you. Let me see your swing.
Oh no,
I have gone to the driving range and filmed my swing. Like I do
yeah.
have those videos on my phone. I showed him my swing and he goes, oh.
Oh god.
And he goes, I'm only going to give you drills that slow down your pace. And he's like, I want you
Yeah,
to get up there and I want you to hit drives at 50% speed. And he goes, I want you to hit your irons and I want you to hold it up on your backswing for 2 seconds and just learn how to have pace. And then like
yeah.
I'm watching him watch it and like I just look herky jerky. Like it's those were very private videos just meant for me.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. It's weird. I mean, like a lot of sports, a lot of things are like this, but there's something about golf in that you never golf alone, really, outside of maybe the driving range. But there's something that feels, and I think it's also because it's one of the things that I do that I also never became even like good at, where it kind of hurts. Like somebody, like say somebody in your foursome is like, "Can I give you a little advice mid round?" It's like, ugh, like it's like a
Yeah.
dagger into your heart. Like you need it. You know they're shooting 20 strokes better than you, and like maybe it could be helpful, but there's something about it that just like is just makes me want to go home when I hear that. Like just drive the cart either straight into the lake or straight to my car because I'm now no longer having a good time.
You get all huffy puffy. I want to do it my way.
Yeah. And my way takes 10 shots on every hole.
More bang for your buck. If you think about it, like how many swings do I have on the course per dollar paid for the round?
Oh,
Technically, you and I are winning.
I'm doing a great job there. If that's
Yeah,
the metric. It's
pennies
actually
on the
the
dollar.
opposite of most golfers' metric, but I'm fine with that. So let's move to the first segment. This is a new segment. Will be slightly abbreviated today, but likely a recurring segment here. So we're calling this Ranking Rendezvous. We'll be ranking various things, and of course, the categories that the rankings will go into will change depending on what we're ranking. So for this first inaugural attempt, we will be ranking red flags, and our groupings will be number 1, run for the door. That's absolute deal breakers. 2, phone a friend. It requires serious analysis, potentially requiring bringing in an outside quant to act as a sounding board. Kind of a real holdup, but potentially you could work through it. 3, yellow flag, not innately good or bad, something that requires, some thought, but, not terrible. And then 4 is that's terrible, but so am I, which is a red flag that actually makes you more interested, probably because you're the same way. So to start on our red flag list, we have people who are intensely involved and believe very strongly in astrology.
Well, I'm going to lead this off because I've now been living out in California for 3 years, and there's a lot of astrology girls out here.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm happily in a relationship, but like I've seen this in practice and I've seen both sides. I've seen guys go on dates with these girls that are like, "What's your astrological sign?" and the guy is just dumbfounded and he just comes home pissed. He's bitching, like it's not fun. And I've also seen some where like they kind of enjoy it. Like I've actually had full on conversations discussing my astrology sign, which is a
Same,
Leo,
same.
which is a good sign. It's like apparently we love attention, which is kind of hilarious because I'm like on a podcast now.
Yeah, yeah. I share that trait with the Leos out there. I love attention, but only when I want attention.
So like I actually think it's like a kind of fun topic. And I've also had like my fortune told or like signs read or something,
Like
like
tarot
with tarot
cards.
cards.
Yeah,
Yeah, or tarot cards.
I'm not sure.
Um, dude, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's like, and I guess it's like something you practice too as like a tarot card reader.
Yep.
And not to get off on too much of a tangent, but like I've thoroughly enjoyed that. So if I was on a date, like I would say I wouldn't necessarily liken that to a red flag. I think maybe it's more of like describing the type of girl that you're like meeting. But like if you're into astrological signs, like that means you're well read, right?
Maybe,
Like she's
maybe.
probably well read. She's reading
Read,
something to learn
yeah,
about.
well read about just that. I mean, okay. So before I give my take, where do you land on that? Which category do you throw that into? It seems like yellow flag. Maybe that's terrible, but so am I.
I think that's terrible, but so am I. I think I'd enjoy it.
Not a
Kinda
problem.
interesting
Fair.
talking points. Yeah, all clear.
So two things. Number one, with the tarot cards, I just remembered that the same aunt who was my wing woman at this wedding does tarot card readings. Like she performs them for other people. So
Cool
I
aunt.
have never done that, but that would be very interesting. As a whole, I don't think it's disinteresting. I think the trouble is it can it's boom or bust. Like let's say I'm a Capricorn, I meet a Taurus or something, and this girl is super into astrology, or name any sign that like is supposed to not work with
Are you a
Capricorn.
Capricorn or is that a
I
hypothetical?
am a
Nice.
Capricorn.
Nice.
I feel like that's where you can get into some trouble because like if somebody starts their conversation with you with like, "Oh, you're a Cap." That's not good. Like I don't trust you or like there's so many angles they can take with your sign as if they know everything about you. And so I think that is kind of unfair in
Has this
general.
ever happened, by the way?
Not really not in a negative way, but I have had a number of conversations that have felt are like far too lengthy or like I'm playing defense about like my Capricorn status and it's like I'm not like other Capricorns.
Wait, what is like a negative component to a Capricorn?
I'm looking it up. The personality of a Capricorn explained.
I'm looking up personality of a Leo too.
Capricorn is symbolized by a sea goat. That's good. As far as I'm concerned, that is good.
Are you on allure.com?
I'm on zodiacsign.com. Shout out for all our astrology men and women out there. So I've actually heard this type of thing before with Capricorns. Capricorn is a sign that is associated with time and responsibility. Individuals are typically traditional and serious in nature, possessing an inner self of independence that allows them to make significant progress in both their personal and professional lives. They're skilled in self control, not so sure about that, can make realistic plans, and are capable of managing many people at once. They learn from their mistakes and rely on their experience and expertise to achieve success. So, kind of like,
Hardo.
yeah, the Capricorn mold is like just, yeah, kind of a hardo. Just, they do it their way. They don't want to, negotiate. They know what's best for them, maybe.
So this is not really you. Like, I mean, you are a Capricorn, so obviously you have some of these tendencies. But like, if I'm a girl and I'm like, wow, this guy's a Capricorn, like he's just a predisposed hard ass. Like that
Yeah.
is obviously you're playing a little
I
bit
don't know if
defense. Like
anyone has ever described me in seriousness as a hard ass in my life. Like,
I'm imagining you like trying to like, no, I promise. Like
yeah,
I laugh.
yeah. I mean, there's like aspects of that are true. I think like I think particularly like in routine. Like I'm a very routine oriented person, and so to leave that, or maybe that's kind of like an overarching thing about just control. Like I like having some level of control of what I'm doing, when I'm doing it, things like that, which I think would be like fair or like accurate to my Capricorn status. But in terms of just being like this serious, like that, I mean, and anybody who listens to one of these probably knows like that's really not my bag, is like just straight facing everything. So
I could see how this could be like a little bit of like for you, this is a red flag because you don't want to like be put in a box as a Capricorn.
but I think yeah, no, that's true. It's not like a severe red flag, but I feel like if that continues to come up or like I need to justify things, I'd say I'd probably throw it in the yellow flag. I guess one of my bigger concerns with it is if you believe what you think I am as a Capricorn, that also means you believe you are whatever your sign is, which is kind of like
Yeah.
it's a little bit it's a step away from like what's the like predestiny or like a lack of free will. So like I don't love that at all. Like I think anybody can do whatever they set their mind to for the most part. So like I don't know.
Charlie, before we move on to the next red flag, I got to read you what Leo is. I love being a Leo. Here's my like first three sentences or two sentences. Roll out the red carpet
Oh
because
yeah.
Leo has arrived. Leo is represented by the lion, and these spirited fire signs are the kings and queens of the celestial jungle. They are delighted to embrace their royal status. Vivacious, theatrical, and passionate, Leos love to bask in the spotlight and celebrate themselves.
Meanwhile, I'm on the Reddit astrology memes with the post, "Are Capricorns bad people? Capricorns are so mystifying to me. I genuinely want to believe they're good people, but their actions are so conflicting. I've been seeing this Capricorn and they always try hard to show that they care, they appear loyal and trustworthy, but then they go ahead with very little communication, blah, blah, blah."
Bro, you got a target on your back as a Capricorn. That is such a tough birth month. Like,
Yeah. I do like my birth month and birthday specifically because I share a birthday with LeBron James, December 30th. That's I don't know how it's not a coincidence, but it is not a coincidence. But you know, if LeBron's a Capricorn, can Capricorns really be that bad?
can't be.
Although he did do the decision, and that was bad.
That sounds more of like a Leo trait.
That was kind of Leo.
Roll out the red
I
carpet.
like basking in the sun and celebrating myself though too. My final evaluation will be yellow flag. Not bad. Not bad. Our next one is this is kind of specific. This is coming from like a guy's perspective more so, but a partner or somebody you're seeing who calls you bro, like with some frequency.
This for me is run for the door. I mean, if I was single and a girl was calling me dude or bro, I would immediately lose interest.
And do you think you lose interest because that way of like addressing you clearly implies like a friend zone type situation? Because if a girl is calling me bro, that's kind of where my mind goes. It's like I'm your bro. Like
I've seen it happen.
yeah, no,
Every
it's
time I'm
absolutely
pissed.
happened to me too, and it doesn't usually end well.
It doesn't end well because I get pissed and I never like talk to them again.
Doesn't end well because I get pissed. I like that. I'll go with I think in the early going, I'm very keen to overlook really most red flags in the early going because chalk it up to getting to know somebody and like there's nerves and whatever. But I feel like if it was like really persistent and you know, I'm between an option of communicating how I feel about being told bro or just running for the door. I'm probably taking the latter because I'm just a bit of a cowardly Capricorn. But for me, I'd say that's phone a friend. Like that's not quite run for the door, but it's that raises like the hair on the back of my neck. I don't want to be called bro by my potential romantic partner. I don't think.
So you're telling me you'd put up with it though?
At
Like
least for a
you go
little
on a
bit.
date
At
and
least for a little bit.
she hits you with like you show up, she's waiting for you at the bar and she goes, "What's up, dude?" and like gives you like a big dap up like handshake,
I
like
mean,
pats you on the back and you're like, "Yeah, maybe I'll
Pats me
call
on the
my
back.
friend and ask if this is normal and I should like keep
I
dating her."
well, I mean, I guess that's why it's not like phone a friend might be like a misnomer for that category. It might not be strong enough because like I would know that is not quite right, but I guess I'd have to weigh that against the positives. But if we're going out of the gate, like I sit down and she says, "What's up, bro?" Like that's gonna be unless if, like in serious. If she says that in seriousness, that's gonna like put me on my back foot immediately. Like I'm gonna have some concerns.
What do you think her angle is there?
I'm not sure. I can't imagine what, and maybe that's why it's a frustrating thing. The only angle really to me is to communicate we're friends and just friends. Like if you're calling, I'm trying to think. Do you ever call girls, bro? Like I don't think I
No.
do.
I've seen it happen though. If it could be a really chill girl, but like I can't imagine she'd be too happy about being called bro or dude.
No, dude, I find more okay.
You'd be okay with the girl calling you dude?
I mean, not every time I'm being addressed, but if somebody like if we're I don't know. Like again, this is like maybe not like a date scenario, but if somebody was like at my place and we're like watching, let's say you back when we were all living in like Madison or something. If somebody we were with in our room in college was like, "Pass the popcorn, dude." Like that's that's like okay.
That's no, I'm sending her home.
I mean, I guess as it was coming out of my mouth, I didn't feel very confident about that one. But we'll go on to the last one here. This one is just pulled straight from the internet. Top red flags. This one is they bash their ex, and in my mind, the scenario is this: you go on the first date with them, or maybe not the first date they're getting into their ex, but whenever you have that conversation, they're immediately just body bagging their ex, have nothing good to say. To me, this is very much run for the door. There's like there can be exceptions to that if they were dating an exceptionally shitty person, but like I feel like I look back at the relationships I've had, and like I rarely have a bad thing to be like bashing someone over, and for that to be like the tenor of that entire conversation that she's having of someone she recently saw or like saw in the past, that's worrisome because you just know when that's happening, I'm next.
I'm not worried about her bashing me. I think it's more like I feel like she's still fully caught up on said X,
Ooh,
right?
interesting.
Like that certain person is still consuming so much headspace.
I think the caught up thing is real. I mean, it's kind of like the ugly cousin of somebody you're talking to somebody who's constantly bringing up their ex. Like that to me more communicates maybe they're caught up on that, but just strictly bashing an ex.
Has this happened to you, by the way?
Let me think. Absolutely talking about exes. Like I've been on dates where it veers towards that.
How does that get brought up? Like, what is the reasoning for talking about your ex? Like, you guys are trying to get to know each other. Like, are you prying, or does it just like come out?
Okay, so here's how it comes up. Here's how it comes up. Is I went on a date and somebody recently got out of a long-term relationship. And so that was something that they felt they needed to like be upfront about. And
Hmm.
so you talk about that. And in this instance, this person is in no way bashing their ex, but like that's where you kind of got to have your antenna up about like, am I just rebound person if we spend all this time talking about your ex? But I don't know. I wouldn't say it comes up often on a first date, but I feel like at some point it probably comes up a little bit. And I would be wary of somebody who's just bashing their ex.
I'm gonna say, if I had to put a label on it, I'm gonna either say it's a yellow flag or a phone a friend. I think it probably like I think it's all contextual because I agree. If you're coming out of a long term relationship, like that's totally valid. I also think if you had like an exceptionally shitty ex that's just like weird and like attached to you or like is going to like try to like reach out to you while you're trying to get to know and date this person, like I get that there's totally like reasons for it and like bashing the ex is a good thing. It's way better than like, my ex was so hot or like my ex is so rich, like
Yeah, my ex was taller than you. That's like that's a phrase that would occur in my nightmares.
exactly. There are worse things that could happen to you with like some girl talking about her ex. than just bashing them.
I feel like it's a little negative, and that's my worry. But let's move on. Our next segment is fan of the week, highly anticipated as always. This week it will be going to Claire Kate XX on Instagram. She reached out to the pod and recommended that we use the app Vivino to track our wine reviews, which we have since gone, made an account, logged all of our wines. We need to add our kind of like actual paragraph review of each one, but we do have our rankings in there. So encourage anybody who's interested to follow us on Vivino. Our name is fully corked on that app, and that's kind of where we will log our rankings and thoughts. So much thanks to Claire Kate XX on Instagram. And really, you know, it's super rewarding for us when people reach out to us with ideas. Obviously, we're still pretty new, and so this is awesome, and we'll make kind of tracking that and making that engaging for everybody else a little bit easier. So we'll drop a link to our Vivino account in an Instagram story or post in the near future. Would love if any of the listeners want to join our network there, offer your own thoughts and ratings, and we can all see what we think of these wines. So appreciate it. Claire Kate XX, you are the fan of the week. We love you, and we appreciate the recommendation.
We love you, Claire Kate XX. Keep it up. Keep up the good work. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share us too. Like, we're trying to grow this brand. We want to get out there. We want to get out to the world. We've been popping up on some explore pages. It's been exciting. Again, we love the attention.
Start taking Trader Joe's. We want that sponsorship. So let's move to our last segment. This is going to maybe have to be rapid fire here. So segment number 2, the highly anticipated return of overrated, underrated. Unfortunately, we don't have a ton of time to get into all the details like we like to. We'll start with party holidays. That is a St. Patrick's, New Year's Eve. Overrated, underrated. For me, this is going to be underrated because it seems like everybody is out. They say, it's too, particularly New Year's Eve. I feel like a bunch of people hate New Year's Eve, but I love that. I love St. Patty's. It's good energy in the air. Everybody wants to do something. And whether or not you're at the best party for that night, I just like the energy in the air. I'd say underrated because it is so common for people to be like, yeah, fuck New Year's Eve. Like, I don't want to go jumping around from bar to bar and pay $50 and cover whatever that I would otherwise get in free. But I'm in on these holidays.
And for that exact tangent that you just went on, I think these holidays are completely overrated.
That's because you're not hunting for that kiss at midnight.
That's true.
I'll pay any cover if there's some potential.
Or if it's St. Patrick's Day.
That's a great day for me.
Charlie, that lingering pinch.
Yeah. I mean, St. Patty's Day I love St. Patty's Day, obvious reasons. I mean, like, there's very few days in the calendar year where you feel good about being a redhead. And that's one of them where people are kind of like, that's actually pretty cool what your hair color is. And most days it's not like that. We got one overrated, one underrated.
Yeah. We have to touch on Aperol Spritz, right?
Yeah, yep.
Mentioned it earlier in the pod. Go ahead.
Okay, here's what's wrong with Aperol Spritz. It is a drink that is budgeted as a very refreshing, fun, light summer drink. And what people are lying to themselves about is its refreshment level, which is very minimal, as well as its like fun and tastiness. I think it's like too viscous. Like, oftentimes they're like oily when I drink them. I don't like, you're making a face, but there's something all wrong with the Aperol Spritz. I've never had one that I've liked. I've never taken a sip of an Aperol Spritz and gone, like I'm refreshed after. It's just, I could name 100 summer drinks that I would order before an Aperol Spritz. Plus, it's just a hangover in a cup. I'm 100% out on the Aperol Spritz.
That is such a bad take. And you should probably stop dumping fish oil into your Aperol Spritz and drink it like
oily.
The rest of us.
They're oily.
Charlie, it's 1/3 sparkling water. You can't tell me it's a hangover in a cup. It literally leaves you refreshed. It almost leaves you better than when you started drinking it.
I'm looking up the components right now. Keep going.
It's I can tell you, it's 1/3 Aperol, it's 1/3 Prosecco, and it's 1/3 sparkling water. It is extremely refreshing. It's got a little bit of that like acidic bite. It's so good. It's got that Aperol liqueur. And you can mix and match. I don't know where you're getting your fish oil, but like outside of that, they actually taste pretty good. They taste like a cocktail. You know what I mean? Like an aperitivo. Like it's something that's fun. And anytime you're drinking an Aperol Spritz, you know you're in for a good time. Like you're not drinking that when you're sad, right? Nobody's going to drink an Aperol Spritz when you're having like a down day. Like that just does not happen. So you're only drinking it during happy moments and usually in the sun.
I think drinking an Aperol Spritz turns a good day into a bad day, and that's what people don't really understand. I guess I'm not sure where this oil factor I'm citing is coming from. I'm looking at the components. The components do not contain as much oil as I was hoping they might. I don't know, dude. There's something about it that I really disagree with.
I'll leave you with this. Spoken like a true Capricorn. We will see you all next week. Peace and love.